Have you ever wondered why some people remain calm even when the world around them is falling apart? While others maybe even you crumble at the first sign of conflict, discomfort, or delay. We've been taught to search for peace out there. In success, in love, in validation, in control. But what happens when all of that is stripped away? What's left? You. That's where real peace begins. Not in the absence of hardship, but in the presence of inner strength. In this journey, we're going to walk through 8 timeless strategies that come straight from the Stoic playbook, but reimagined for modern life. These aren't abstract ideas. They're daily tools. They will help you calm your mind, reclaim control over your emotions, and find clarity even in the face of chaos. Because you weren't meant to just react to life. You were meant to lead yourself through it. Let's begin. Strategy 1: Embrace what is. You wake up. Check your phone. Bad news. An opportunity slipped away. A relationship fractured. A plan collapsed. Your heart sinks. Your mind races. Why me? But Stoicism teaches don't fight reality, flow with it. That doesn't mean you approve of what happened. It means you stop wasting energy resisting the unchangeable. Epictetus said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather wish that what happens happens the way it happens. Then you will be happy." In other words, reality is your starting point, not your enemy. Imagine driving and hitting unexpected rain. You can curse the sky, slam the steering wheel, spiral into frustration. Or you can turn on the wipers, slow down, and adapt. The storm doesn't stop. But neither do you. And that's the shift. From reaction to response. Here's how you can practice this in real time. Step 1: Catch the resistance. When something upsets you, pause and ask, can I control this? If the answer is no, your only job is to redirect your energy inward toward how you think, how you speak, and how you move forward. Step 2: Shift perspective. Instead of, this shouldn't have happened, try this as here, what now? See every disruption as a test of your training. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, daily what stands in the way becomes the way. Not a wall, a doorway. And step 3: Train your emotions in advance. Visualize adversity not to scare yourself, but to prepare your mind. You rehearse calm like an athlete rehearses form. That way, when the storm hits, you don't panic, you perform. Because peace isn't found in avoiding pain. It's found in becoming someone who can face it with clarity, courage, and composure. Strategy to let go of the past. What if the thing weighing you down isn't your current reality, but your memory of what once went wrong? We carry old pain like a backpack full of bricks. Regrets. Failures. Words we wish we'd never said. Chances we never took. But the past? It only lives if you keep feeding it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." That's not morbid. It's liberating. It means the only moment that matters is now. So, how do you let go? Step 1: Acknowledge that the past can't hurt you unless you keep replaying it. Whatever happened, happened. You can't rewrite it. But you can choose to reframe it. A failure? Now a lesson. A heartbreak? Now a revelation. A betrayal? Now a standard you've redefined. Step 2: Write it out. Take a pen and list what you've been carrying. Ask, does this pain have power, or have I just kept it alive in my mind? Seeing it in front of you makes it smaller. Less monstrous. Less defining. Step 3: Forgive. Not just others. Yourself. You are not the person you were when that moment happened. Growth has occurred. Wisdom has been earned. So when the past resurfaces, and it will remind yourself, that version of me no longer lives here. Because your past may have shaped you, but it never owned you. You are free the moment you say you are. And if that freedom feels distant, start by saying it anyway. Say, I release the past. I do not need it to be different in order for me to grow. That's the moment healing begins. Strategy 3: Anchor in the present. Your mind left entrained is a time traveler. It races to yesterday's mistakes. It leaps into tomorrow's uncertainty. And in the process, it misses now. But now is all you've ever had. Now is where peace lies. Now is where decisions are made. Relationships are nurtured. Strength is built. Marcus Aurelius put it bluntly. Confine yourself to the present. So how do you drop anchor in a drifting mind? One breath at a time. Literally. Feel it enter. Feel it leave. The breath has no past. No future. It only exists here. And so do you. Train yourself to return over and over to what is real. When you eat, eat. When you walk, walk. When you speak, listen. This is not about abandoning goals. It's about realizing that goals only happen when you live this moment fully. Stillness isn't the absence of movement. It's the presence of attention. And when you give your attention to now, the noise begins to fade. And life, real life, begins. Strategy for pause with purpose. We live in a world that worships speed. Do more. Be more. Move faster. Never stop. But here's the paradox. The people who move with the most clarity, the ones who act with the most power, they don't just go fast. They know when to stop. Stillness is not weakness. It's strategy. Marcus Aurelius said, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." Think about that. You don't need a beach or a retreat. You need the ability to pause on purpose in the middle of the noise. To close your eyes for just 30 seconds and return to yourself. Because here's the truth. Your mind is not a machine. It's a living system. It needs time to process, integrate, and recover. Without pauses, your thoughts blur. Your emotions overflow. Your actions lose alignment. But with just a breath, you reset the system. Let me show you how. Try this before you start your next task. Stop for 60 seconds. Close your eyes. Take a deep inhale. Let it out slowly. Ask yourself, what matters most right now? That's it. That tiny pause creates mental space, and space is where wisdom lies. Don't wait until you're burned out to slow down. Build pauses into your day. Before meetings. After arguments. Between tasks. Not to escape the world, but to center it more clearly. The Stoics knew you can't be wise if you're always rushing. Pause. Breathe. Then move. Strategy 5. Master your thoughts. Imagine your mind as a garden. If left unattended, what grows? Weeds. Negativity. Assumptions. Old stories. But if you plant deliberately, water what matters, you grow strength. Clarity. Peace. Your thoughts are not truth. They're impressions. Some helpful. Some destructive. Marcus Aurelius warned, your mind will take the shape of what you frequently hold in thought. So what have you been holding? Here's the problem: most people let their thoughts choose them. Thoughts arrive, uninvited, and we follow them like loyal servants. But the Stoic is different. The Stoic becomes a guardian at the gate. Ask yourself, where did this thought come from? Does it serve me? Is it helping me become who I want to be? Most worries are illusions. Most fears are ghosts. They appear real until you shine the light of attention on them. You don't need to fight every thought. You don't need to argue with your mind all day. You just need to choose which ones you believe. Here's a practice. At the end of each day, write down one negative thought you believe. Then challenge it. Ask, is this a fact or a feeling? What's the opposite perspective? You're not pretending everything is fine. You're training your brain to think clearly. Because clarity, not comfort, is the goal. And the clearer you think, the calmer you become. Strategy 6. Detach with grace. Let's talk about control. The hardest lesson in life, and perhaps the most freeing, is this. You don't get to keep everything. People leave. Dreams change. Plans fail. And when they do, the person who suffers most is not the one who loses something. It's the one who refuses to let go. Imagine clinging to a branch over a rushing river. Your hands are bleeding. Your body is tired. But you refuse to release because you think letting go is the same as giving up. It's not. Stoicism teaches that detachment is not apathy. It's freedom from false ownership. You don't own anything outside yourself, not permanently. Not praise. Not possessions. Not people. And the more you cling, the more you suffer. So how do you let go without shutting down emotionally? You start by remembering this. You can love without control. You can care deeply without needing certainty. You can commit fully without being defined by the outcome. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Let go of the need to possess what you love and you begin to truly enjoy it. Here's a practice. Visualize the people and things you cherish most. Now picture them as birds resting on your hand. Hold them gently. Appreciate them fully. But don't close your fist. Because the tighter you grip, the more you crush what you were meant to cherish. To detach with grace is to say, "I love this, but I don't need it to define me. I appreciate this, but I will not suffer if it leaves." This doesn't make your heart smaller. It makes your freedom bigger. And from that place of freedom, everything you hold becomes more sacred, not because it lasts forever, but because you finally see its true worth. Let go, not in bitterness, not in coldness. Let go in love. Let go in truth. Let go and breathe. Strategy 7. Cultivate gratitude. Let's talk about a practice so simple. Most people underestimate it. Gratitude. Not the cliche version where you force a smile and say you're thankful while secretly feeling empty. But the real kind. The kind that wakes you up. That grounds you. That reminds you even in your worst moment that you still have something real. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you do not have, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours." That's the secret. Gratitude isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about finally seeing where it's been there all along. Your breath, your mind, your ability to choose a different path starting now. See, the human mind is built for survival, not joy. It scans for threats. It magnifies lack. It chases more. But when you train it to see clearly, to focus on what's working, what's beautiful, what's quietly supporting you, everything shifts. You begin to feel full not because you got more, but because you finally noticed. Try this. Each morning, before you do anything else, ask, "What am I thankful to have today that I'd desperately miss if it disappeared?" Write it down. Just one thing. Do it for 30 days. Watch how your mind begins to change. And science agrees, consistent gratitude rewires your brain. It boosts dopamine, increases resilience, improves sleep, lowers anxiety. But beyond the data, here's the deeper truth. Gratitude is how you turn ordinary moments into sacred ones. It's how you move from wanting more to living more. And it doesn't stop at the good stuff. A true Stoic sees even pain as part of the gift. A failed job interview? A chance to build persistence. A betrayal? A filter that removed someone not meant for your path. A setback? Training for the next rise. Every obstacle can become a teacher if you're willing to thank it instead of curse it. Because what if life isn't punishing you? What if it's preparing you? What if every hard thing you've faced has quietly been sculpting you into someone stronger, calmer, wiser? Say this to yourself. I don't need everything to be perfect. I just need eyes to see what's already here. That's the beginning of peace. Strategy 8. Reflect to evolve. You've heard it before. Know thyself. But what does that really mean? It means this. Don't let your life become one long reaction. Don't keep moving just because that's what everyone else is doing. Stop. Reflect. Adjust. Because if you never check your compass, don't be surprised if you end up lost. Marcus Aurelius captured this perfectly. Think about yourself, about the life you have left to live. That's the key. Not just thinking about what you want, but thinking about how you're living. Are your actions aligned with your values? Are your words aligned with your soul? Are your habits moving you forward or just keeping you busy? This kind of reflection is not judgment. It's refinement. Think of yourself like a craftsman fine-minus, tuning a tool that matters. Each day, you shape the edge. Each choice, each mistake, each victory a lesson. So how do you make reflection a habit? Here's one simple practice used by warriors, philosophers, and creators alike. At the end of your day, ask 3 questions. What did I do well today? What can I have done better? What will I try differently tomorrow? That's it. No shame. No blame. Just awareness. Because the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Even if today you were just a little more patient, a little more focused, a little more honest, that's a win. You are evolving. Not in giant leaps, but in steady, invisible inches. And over time, those inches become your character. Those inches become your peace. Reflection is how you stay awake. Because the moment you stop examining your life is the moment you start drifting. You lose yourself. And no amount of success, applause, or achievement will bring you back. Only awareness will. So start tonight. Before you go to sleep, ask, what did I learn about myself today? It may not always be pretty, but it will always be useful. Because growth is never about being better than others. It's about being better than the person you were yesterday. And the only way to do that is to look, to see, to reflect, and then to rise. The journey home. So here we are. 8 simple strategies. But if you've made it this far, you know they're not simple at all. They're profound. They are keys to reclaiming your mind, to stepping out of the chaos, to remembering that you are not the noise, you are the observer of it. Now your life begins again. Not tomorrow. Not next week. No. So before you close this page, pause. Place your hand on your heart. Take a breath. And whisper, I am calm. I am clear. I am in control of how I respond to this life. Then carry that truth with you. Into the next moment. Into the next challenge. Into the world. Because your mind, it belongs to you. And now you know how to lead it home. Let's return to something simple. Not flashy. Not dramatic. Just a quiet but profound truth. You already know what to do. The problem isn't knowing. It's remembering. It's trusting. It's choosing. And that's why morning rituals, the right kind, are so powerful. Because each morning is not just a new day. It's a new decision. To live differently. To speak more slowly. To feel without being ruled by feeling. To act with deliberate intent, not just emotional reaction. This is where all 8 Stoic strategies come alive, not just as ideas in your head, but as tools in your hand. So what does this look like? Let's walk through it. You wake up, and immediately the mind begins. The regrets from yesterday. The anticipation of what might go wrong today. The voice that says, you're not enough yet. Before your feet even hit the floor, your peace is already under attack. So instead of reaching for your phone, you reach for yourself. You breathe. And you say, today is a new beginning. I release the past. I meet the present. I trust myself to respond with strength. That's not just poetic. That's practical. Because what you say to yourself in the first 5 minutes of your day programs your nervous system, your chemistry, your posture, your identity. And from there, your decisions, big and small, begin to shift. Now, let's say something throws you off course. Traffic. A rude email. A wave of anxiety. Instead of spiraling, you pause. You remember. Some things are in my control. Others are not. I return to what is mine, my breath, my response, my next step. That's Stoicism in real life. It's not about always being calm. It's about always having a way back to calm. That's the difference. And that's what makes a Stoic mindset so powerful. Because it's not rigid. It's resilient. It bends, adapts, absorbs the hit, then reorients us. Think of a tree in the storm. The shallow mind is rooted one snap. But the deeply grounded ones, they sway but they stand. And your roots? They're made of the choices you practice each day. Let's go even deeper. Imagine 3 circles. The outer world full of chaos, noise, unpredictability. The inner world your thoughts, emotions, reactions. The core your values, your reason, your virtue. Most people live at the edge, tossed around by the outer world. A single tweak can ruin their mood. A delayed plan wrecks their identity. A bad look from someone sends them into self-doubt. But the Stoic lies from the center out. Their first reference point is not the news, not approval, not what they can't control. It's who they've chosen to be. That's the real win. Not having a perfect day, but responding to the imperfect day in a way that reflects your chosen philosophy. So let's go back to the 8 strategies and bring them into practice. You can call this the daily Stoic reset. It's a 5-minute morning grounding ritual to anchor your mind before the world starts spinning. Here's how it works. Sit quietly, eyes open or closed, and slowly say or write these prompts to yourself. I accept what I cannot control. Feel the tension leave your body. You don't need to fix everything. I forgive the past and I let it go. Let yesterday dissolve. Today is new. I root myself in this moment. Feel your breath. Notice where you are. Come home to now. I will move with intention, not impulse. Remind yourself slow is smooth. Smooth is strong. I observe my thoughts. I choose which ones to follow. Be the witness. Not every thought deserves your energy. I detach from outcome and stay devoted to process. Focus on the work, not the applause. I give thanks for what I already have. Look around. There's beauty you haven't noticed yet. I reflect to evolve and am willing to grow. Even mistakes become lessons when you're honest. Done daily, this isn't a ritual of perfection. It's a ritual of return. Back to presence. Back to sovereignty. Back to the person you keep saying you want to be. And when the noise of life gets loud, it will you'll have this compass. Not as a shield to hide behind, but as a mirror to reflect who you've trained yourself to become. That's the true Stoic advantage. Not the elimination of discomfort, but the elevation of your standard even inside it. Because most people collapse under emotion. But you rise. You breathe. You respond. Not for show, but because you've practiced. And the more you practice, the more this becomes your new baseline. Calm, centered, clear. And from that baseline, you build a new kind of life. Not one free from problems, but one rich in perspective. Not one defined by chaos, but one shaped by character. And that life? It's not out there. It begins each morning right here, with a whisper, a pause, a breath, a return. Let's be honest. You won't always feel calm. You won't always be grounded, wise, or measured. You'll lose your temper. You'll say the wrong thing. You'll make mistakes, sometimes the same one more than once. And in those moments, it's tempting to think, I failed. I'm not stoic enough. You'll never get this right. But let me offer you something better than perfection. Return. The entire Stoic path isn't about never falling. It's about learning how to come back faster, cleaner, with less shame. The moment you drift into reactivity, the moment your emotions pull you off center, that's not failure. It's feedback. It's the bell that rings and says, come home. And that home is not a place. It's a posture, a position of self-minus command. So let's explore this deeper. What do you do when you lose yourself? When the anger flares? When the anxiety spikes? When your mind spirals into stories that drown your peace? You interrupt the loop. And you do it with one question. What am I believing right now, and is it true? This question pulls you out of emotion and into observation. It reminds you, you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the one who sees them. Let's try this in real time. Imagine someone insults you deeply, unfairly. Your body tightens. Your mind sharpens. You feel the urge to defend, to retaliate. Pause. Ask, what am I believing right now? They're attacking me. I must defend myself. Is that true? Maybe. Maybe not. What matters is what I choose to do next. Now return to your stoic core. Is reacting with emotion going to disturb my peace or fracture it? That's the stoic pause. And that pause, it gives you back your power. Now let's explore another critical aspect of stoic calm. Expectation. Most of your emotional suffering doesn't come from life itself. It comes from how you expected life to be. You expected people to treat you well. You expected things to go according to plan. You expected reward to follow effort. And when they don't, you suffer not from reality, but from the gap between expectation and reality. This is where the Stoics were brutally honest and radically free. Epictetus wrote, when you are about to put your hand to some undertaking, remind yourself what kind of thing it is. In other words, before you step into the world, expect difficulty. Expect imperfection, not as a way to become cynical, but as a way to become prepared. Think about this. When you expect traffic, and it comes, you're calm. But when you expect a clear road and get the same traffic, you're furious. It's not the event, it's the assumption. So here's your shift. Expect the unexpected, not in fear, but in training. Say to yourself each morning, today, people may be rude. Plans may fall through. I may feel off. And none of that will control me. That's not pessimism. That's preparation. And prepared minds don't panic. They pivot. This brings us to a deeper lesson. Amor fati. Love of fate. It means not just accepting what happens, but embracing it. Trusting that every event, good or bad, can serve your growth if you meet it with the right mindset. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You ask, what is this here to teach me? That reframe doesn't erase the pain, but it gives the pain purpose. And pain with purpose becomes power. Now let's talk about emotional momentum. Because calm is not a 1- time decision. It's a rhythm you cultivate. Each moment of restraint. Each breath taken before speaking. Each time you step back instead of lashing out. It all adds up. Calm is cumulative. The more you practice it in small moments, the easier it becomes in big ones. It's like a muscle. Neglect it, and it weakens. Train it, and it becomes instinct. So tomorrow, when something minor irritates you, use it. Let the traffic be your dojo. Let the slow barista be your monk. Let the awkward silence be your moment of stillness. These are not interruptions. They are invitations to strengthen the only thing that truly belongs to you, your inner state. And what happens when you get good at this? People notice. They ask, why don't you react like everyone else? How do you stay calm under pressure? What's your secret? And you won't say much, because calm doesn't need to be explained. It is felt by you and by everyone around you. And slowly, without trying to be anyone's teacher, you become an example. Not of perfection, but of presence, of poise, of what it looks like to be fully alive and fully unshaken. And that is the life few people ever find. Not because it's hidden, but because it's quiet. It begins not with control of the world, but with command of yourself. And it continues one pause, one breath, one return at a time. Let's shift the lens outward. Because so far we've talked about cultivating calm from within. But what happens when the world goes mad? When the chaos isn't just personal, it's collective. When the headlines are screaming, social media is boiling, and everyone seems to be losing their mind. In those moments, your inner peace becomes more than just personal medicine. It becomes a moral compass, a form of service. Because let's be real, most people don't think they absorb. They absorb fear from the news, anger from the comment section, envy from comparison. They become vessels for noise, not agents of clarity. But Stoicism teaches, You don't have to be what the world reflects. You can be what the world needs. Stillness in a storm. Wisdom in a panic. Calm in chaos. That doesn't mean disengagement. It means discernment. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire during plague, war, betrayal, and still wrote daily reminders to himself like, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He didn't escape responsibility. He embraced it without letting it poison his mind. And that's your invitation too. Because we live in an age of reaction inflation. Everyone is expected to have a take, a side, a performance. But very few are asking, what do I actually believe? Does this issue require my outrage or my reflection? Am I adding to the signal or just amplifying the noise? A Stoic doesn't join every battle. A Stoic chooses where to place energy, when to speak, how to remain calm without becoming cold. Because here's the truth. You don't have to match the world's dysfunction in order to care about it. You don't have to mirror the energy of chaos in order to be committed to change. In fact, the more chaotic the world becomes, the more valuable your calm becomes. So how do you maintain it? You build filters. Mental firewalls. So when a headline appears, you pause. You ask, is this information actionable? Is this amplifying fear or deepening understanding? Do I need this to live by my values today? Most of the time, you don't. You're not ignoring the world. You're protecting the clarity you need to serve it well. Because you can't heal a noisy world with a noisy mind. You can't lead with courage if you're swimming in confusion. And you can't show up for others if you're constantly triggered, drained, or hijacked by every piece of content you consume. Let me offer you a modern Stoic practice. The information fast. Water every morning, no news. No scrolling. No checking what's happening. Why? Because the world will always be on fire. But if you wake up and let that fire enter your brain before you've even met yourself, you're already at the mercy of it. Instead, reclaim the first hour of your day. Spend it with your breath, your values, your priorities. Then and only then decide what inputs to let in. Because the mind, like the body, becomes what you feed it. And if you feed it nothing but urgency, outrage, and distraction, don't be surprised if you struggle to stay calm, focused, and wise. Now, let's go further. What happens when it's not the news but people around you? Friends, family, colleagues, people who carry anxiety like it's oxygen, people who dump their panic into every conversation, people who want you to react, to take sides, to validate their fears. What do? You hold your ground, not aggressively, not defensively, just quietly. You set the tone. You don't preach, you model. When they spiral, you breathe. When they overreact, you observe. When they bait you into drama, you respond with grace. Sometimes you don't need to say anything. Your peace speaks for itself. And slowly, not always, but often they feel it. They see that there's another way to be. That life doesn't have to be lived at the speed of outrage. That not every problem requires panic. That not every disagreement requires a war. You become a quiet example of emotional sovereignty. And that's leadership. Not because you have power over others, but because you have command within yourself. So here's the invitation. Be the calm you wish the world had more of. Don't wait for it to show up on your feed. Don't expect it to arrive through the government or the market or the latest movement. Bring it through your presence, your pauses, your unwillingness to let your nervous system be shaped by algorithms or crowd noise. The Stoics didn't just survive chaos. They transformed it by refusing to become it. And now, that responsibility is yours. Let's talk about the hardest battlefield to stay calm in. Relationships. It's one thing to remain grounded when you're alone, to breathe deeply in the quiet of your morning routine, to journal your thoughts with clarity when no one's interrupting you. But when you step into the world of people, that's when the real test begins. Because people disappoint. They misunderstand. They trigger. They ignore your boundaries. They say things they don't mean, or worse, they say things they do mean. And suddenly, all your wisdom, all your calm, all your Stoic philosophy vanishes in one sharp look or careless comment. So the question is this: how do you remain centered in the middle of emotional storms, especially when they come from those closest to you? Let's start with this reminder from Epictetus. When someone does wrong, it's because they believe what they're doing is right. It is not the act that disturbs you, but your opinion of it, and that you can change. That's your first shield. Perception. The other person's words, not about you. Their disrespect, a reflection of them, not a revelation about your worth. But here's where it gets nuanced. Being calm doesn't mean tolerating abuse. Being stoic doesn't mean being passive. It means you stay in charge of your own response. So when someone crosses a line, you don't lash out. You don't collapse. You don't become them. You respond with clarity and self-minus respect. You say, "This is not acceptable. I care for you, but I won't betray myself to stay connected." That's calm in action. And that's where stoicism becomes more than a mindset, it becomes a boundary. Let's go deeper. What about love? Real love. Romantic love. How do you stay grounded when your heart's involved? When your nervous system lights up every time they smile or distance themselves? When your emotions surge, not because of anger, but because of attachment? This is where the ancient Stoic idea of non-minus attachment becomes essential. Not the kind that walls you off emotionally, but the kind that says, "I can love you fully and still remain whole if you leave. I can give to this connection without making it responsible for my self-minus worth." Because love that clings is fear, but love that holds lightly is strength. Here's a Stoic principle to carry with you. You own your effort, not their response. You can give your best. You can communicate honestly. You can love deeply and live virtuously. But if the other person chooses distance, dishonesty, or disrespect, that's theirs to carry, not yours. You don't need to fix or chase or convince. You simply return to your core. And you say, "I can hurt and still not lose myself." That's calm. That's sovereignty. That's stoicism where it matters most. Let's break this into practice. Here are 3 real minus life scenarios on how to respond with stoic presence. 1. Someone insults you. Your first instinct might be to defend, correct, retaliate. Instead, pause. Ask, does this come from truth or their pain? Most of the time, it's projection. And if it is true, you thank them and grow. If not, you let it pass through you like wind. You don't catch every arrow. Some, you let fly by. 2. Someone you love pulls away. Instead of chasing, clinging, or spiraling into fear, you breathe. You remember, "I am whole. My peace does not depend on their consistency." Then, with grace, you check in. You speak honestly, but you don't beg. You lead with love, not need. And you let the other person reveal whether they're capable of meeting you with presence. If they're not, you walk away with dignity, not bitterness. 3. You're rooted in a conversation. You feel heat rising in your chest. Your mind races. Instead of reacting, you pause. You name the emotions silently. Anger. Hurt. You breathe. You ask what's more important, being right or being wise? Then you speak from the version of youth that's anchored, not activated. This is how calm becomes your default posture. Not because you're emotionless, but because you've trained your nervous system to serve your values, not your impulses. Let me leave you with this. You do not need perfect relationships to have peace. You need boundaries. You need self-minus ownership. You need the courage to walk away from what doesn't honor your growth. And most of all, you need the discipline to not let your emotions choose your identity. Love people deeply, and never forget, you are the guardian of your own peace. And the calmer you become, the clearer you see, the stronger you stand, the freer you feel. Let's shift the focus from emotion to decision. Because while mastering your emotions gives you peace, mastering your choices gives you power. And that's where most people lose themselves. Not because they're weak, but because they make too many unconscious decisions. They say yes when they mean no. They pursue what's popular, not what's meaningful. They spend time reacting instead of choosing with intention. But the Stoics thought life is not something that happens to you, it's something you shape through your decisions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You are what you do repeatedly. Your character is the sum of your daily choices." That means every choice, from how you begin your morning to what you do when no one is watching, is not random. It's a vote for the person you're becoming. And if you don't choose deliberately, you'll drift. You'll chase short term emotion over long term virtue. You'll wake up years later wondering how you ended up so far from yourself. So let's reclaim that. Let's break down what Stoic decision making looks like in real life. 1. Stop choosing emotion over alignment. We live in a culture that worships how you feel. But Stoicism teaches, do what's right, then feel proud. Not the other way around. It doesn't matter if you feel tired of keeping your word as part of your identity, you show up. It doesn't matter if you feel annoyed if patience is who you've chosen to become, you pause. It doesn't matter if you feel scared if truth is your compass, you speak. In other words, you don't obey feelings. You lead them. Feelings are data, not destiny. They inform you, but they don't rule you. So when you're about to make a decision, pause and ask, is this choice aligned with who I want to become, or is it just a reaction to how I feel right now? That one question can save your life. Not in dramatic ways, but in the quiet, daily way of becoming consistent, grounded, true. 2. Don't trade what's eternal for what's easy. In the rush of the modern world, it's tempting to take shortcuts, to choose convenience over character, to say you'll lie a little, compromise a little. Nobody will notice. But Stoicism warns, every small compromise shapes your soul. Epictetus said, the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. But the same applies to your choices. Every time you act from virtue, even when it costs you, you build an identity that no one can take away. That's what real success is. Not applause, not external achievement, but the quiet knowing, I stayed true to myself. Try this mantra. Do the harder right, not the easier wrong. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's discipline. 3. Choose long term meaning over short term comfort. Discomfort is not the enemy. Distraction is. Because every time you run from discomfort, you delay growth. The gym feels hard, so does regret. Saying no feels uncomfortable, so does resentment. Waking up early feels painful, so does a life lived out of sync with your potential. You don't eliminate discomfort. You choose the one that serves your future self. That's Stoic strategy. Not masochism, but intelligent suffering. You embrace short term pain, not because you like it, but because you know what it builds. Try asking yourself, what would the future me thank me for doing right now? That one question centers your focus. Because now you're not just reacting. You're redesigning your character in real time. 4. Rehearse decisions before they happen. The Stoics were big believers in prem did adiomolo, or pre-meditation of evils. That means mentally preparing for difficult moments before they arrive. Why? Because a prepared mind doesn't panic. It executes. So visualize the difficult conversation, the tempting offer, the moment where you're likely to compromise. And ask yourself, how does my highest self respond? This becomes mental armor. So when the moment arrives, you've already trained. You don't freeze. You flow. Because you rehearsed virtue. 5. Treat every choice as a sculpture. Your life is not built in big, dramatic decisions. It's sculpted in tiny, daily ones. 5 extra minutes of focus. 1 more rep. 1 difficult truth spoken gently. 1 impulse resisted. 1 boundary respected. These are not small. They're formative. And over time, they become automatic. That's the Stoic aim. To make right action, not a battle but a habit. Not because you were born disciplined, but because you chose again and again until the choice became you. Let me leave you with this. You don't need more motivation. You need more alignment. And that begins with this morning's decisions. How you breathe, how you move, how you speak to yourself, how you honor what you said you'd do. Because every decision is not just about results. It's about integrity. It's about becoming someone you can live with and someone you can trust. So the next time you're unsure what to choose, ask, what would the strongest, wisest version of me do right now and what's stopping me from doing it? Then breathe, act, and let that small, courageous step be the beginning of your next becoming. Let's talk about something the modern world has completely distorted. Success. We're all that looks like wealth, fame, followers, achievements, accolades, the right job, the right house, the right body, the right person. But here's the hard truth. You can have all of that and still be empty, still be restless, still wake up wondering why none of it feels like enough. Because real success, it's not what you have. It's who you are when no one's watching. It's what you say to yourself in silence. It's how you carry yourself when no one is validating you. That's why Stoicism isn't about winning in the world's eyes. It's about becoming someone you respect in your own. Marcus Aurelius had everything. Power, empire, status. But still, in his journal, he wrote to himself, waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. Simple. Undeniable. Success, to the Stoics, was virtue. And virtue meant wisdom over impulse, courage over fear, justice over convenience, self-minus control over indulgence. That's it. No trophies. No audience. Just character. So let's redefine success Stoic style. 1. Success is inner peace, not outer proof. Do you know how exhausting it is to constantly prove yourself? To live for likes, to chase applause, to base your worth on how others respond. The Stoic sees that game and walks away. Not out of arrogance, out of clarity. Because no matter how much the world applauds you, if your inner world is a mess, you haven't won. And no matter how little recognition you receive if your soul is calm, your actions aligned, you've already succeeded. So when you feel pressure to perform, ask, who am I trying to impress and why? Then breathe. And return to doing what's right, not what's loud. 2. Success is discipline, not drama. Let's be clear. Success isn't sexy most days. It's boring. It's showing up when you don't feel like it. It's saying no when everyone is saying yes. It's doing the deeper work while others scroll, blame, escape. The Stoics didn't chase emotional highs. They chased excellence, which meant practicing what they preached, especially when no one was watching. Try this. Replace the word success in your vocabulary with consistency. Then ask, did I live with consistency today? That's a better scoreboard than likes or income, or even praise. Because anyone can perform once. Very few can persist. 3. Success is choosing integrity over image. We live in a curated world. Filters, status updates, highlight reels. But none of that means anything if you're abandoning yourself behind the scenes. A Stoic doesn't live for image. They live for alignment. Their private life mirrors their public words. Their values match their behaviors. They speak less and live more. So ask, am I living in a way that the quiet version of me, the one behind closed doors, would be proud of? If not, you don't need to burn it all down. You just need to realign. Not to the world's definition of success, but your own. 4. Success is self-minus respect, not recognition. Respect is earned, not from others, from yourself. And you earn it every time you follow through, every time you speak the hard truth, Every time you get back up after falling, not with shame, but with renewed clarity. Epictetus said, "Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish for events to happen as they do, and you shall find peace." That's a reframe of life itself. Stop chasing ideal. Start mastering actual. And in that shift, you begin to respect the one thing you can always control: how you show up. Try this mantra. I'm not here to be admired. I'm here to be aligned. Because respect that comes from the inside, no one can take it from you. And it never needs a spotlight to stay alive. 5. Success is progress, not perfection. Perfection is a lie. It's a trap that keeps you frozen. Afraid to start. Afraid to fail. Afraid to be seen in process. But progress? That's truth. That's movement. That's real life. The Stoics didn't demand flawlessness. They demanded effort. They expected failure and used it. Every stumble became a sharpening. Every slip became a reminder. Every weakness became a place to apply discipline. That's your path too. Let go of being perfect. Lean into becoming better. Not someday. Today. Through action. Through correction. Through humility. Let me leave you with this. You're allowed to redefine success. In fact, you must. Because if you don't, the world will do it for you. And the world doesn't care about your peace. So claim it. Say this to yourself. I will not chase what looks good. I will build what feels true. I will not measure my life by attention but by alignment. I will walk away from anything that makes me successful on the outside, but a stranger to myself on the inside. That's stoicism. That's power. That's success without noise, without fear, without compromise. And it's available to you every single morning. All it takes is one clear choice. Let's talk about a radical idea in our world of endless wanting. Sufficiency. The idea that you already have enough. Not someday. No. Not when you get the raise, the body, the partner, the validation. But in this moment as you are breathing, awake, alive. It's hard to believe. Because the world is built on the opposite message. Advertising says you lack. Social media says you're behind. Culture says you must have more to be more. And so we chase. We fill our calendars, our closets, our feet, hoping that at some undefined point, we'll feel like we finally made it. But the Stoics offer something wildly different. Something most people aren't ready to hear. Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to live a happy life. It is all within yourself. Not in the next acquisition. Not in someone else's approval. Within." That's not poetic. It's freedom. Because when you realize that joy is an internal decision, not an external reward, you take your power back. You stop chasing a moving target. You start choosing to see what's already here. So let's explore what enough really means. 1. Enough is a decision, not a destination. Most people think satisfaction comes after some achievement. He'll feel good when. But Stoicism flips that. It says, you feel good when you stop needing what isn't yours. When you stop defining your life by what's missing and start living it from what's present. Try this. Sit still for 1 minute. Look around the room. Notice one thing you've taken for granted today. Something ordinary. Clean water. The sun through the window. The fact that your heart is beating. Now ask, if I lost this, how much would I pay to get it back? That question is the gateway to gratitude. And gratitude is the gateway to sufficiency. 2. Sufficiency creates stillness, which multiplies focus. When you always want more, your attention fractures. You jump from one goal to the next. One desire to the next. One dopamine hit to the next. But when you say, this moment is enough, your energy stops scattering. You breathe deeper. You listen closer. You execute cleaner. Sufficiency isn't laziness. It's concentration. You stop chasing and start creating from presence. And from that place, ironically, you often achieve more. Not because you're desperate, but because you're centered. 3. The opposite of enough is not lack. It's comparison. Comparison is the thief of clarity. And today, comparison is currency. We scroll through lives we don't live, moments we didn't experience, bodies we weren't born into. And without even realizing it, we say, maybe I'm not doing enough. But a Stoic doesn't compare their life to someone else's highlight reel. They compare their actions to their own standards. That's the shift. From envy to integrity. From measuring to mastering. So next time you feel behind, ask, am I living my values or chasing someone else's vision? Then return to yourself. Because someone else's abundance has nothing to do with your enoughness. 4. Simplicity isn't poverty, it's clarity. Seneca, one of the richest men in Rome, practiced voluntary discomfort. He slept on the floor, wore rough clothing, ate cheap food. Why? Not because he hated wealth, but because he didn't want to need it. He wrote, wealth is the slave of a wise man, the master of a fool. That's not anti-minus success. That's pro-minus sovereignty. It's not about avoiding nice things. It's about never letting nice things earn you. So try this. Spend one day each month living simply. No luxury. No stimulation. Just presence. And ask, who am I when all the extras are stripped away? The answer will reveal it's real. And from that clarity, your desires begin to shrink. Not from discipline, but from disinterest. You simply stop wanting what never made you whole to begin with. 5. Sufficiency is the foundation of a resilient life. When you always need more, you're fragile. Your mood swings with the market. Your confidence depends on comments. Your peace evaporates the moment something goes wrong. But when you know how to be full on them, you become unbreakable. Because now your joy isn't rented. It's rooted. You've built a life where peace doesn't rely on perfect conditions. That's Stoic wealth. Not just money, but mental security. You can lose things and still have yourself. And that kind of sufficiency? It's not loud. It doesn't need to be posted. It just is. Like a mountain that doesn't need to prove its size. It stands. Quietly. Firmly. Forever. Let me leave you with this. You've been taught to want more. But what you're really craving is enough. Not just materially, but emotionally. Spiritually. Mentally. So the next time you feel the urge to chase, pause. Place your hand over your heart and say, right here, right now, I am full. Then act from that place. Create from that place. Lead from that place. And let the world wonder how someone with so little can move with so much joy, wisdom, and strength. You'll know the secret. Enough was never a number. It was always a mindset. Let's talk about one of the rarest and most revolutionary forms of wisdom today. Slowness. Not laziness. Not passivity. But deliberate, conscious, grounded slowness, the kind that creates space between impulse and insight, between noise and knowing. The kind of slowness that allows your soul to catch up with your life. Because the truth is, we are moving too fast. Too fast to feel. Too fast to listen. Too fast to think for ourselves. We rush through tasks. We rush through conversations. We even rush through rest. And in all that rushing, something is quietly lost. Presence, depth, discernment, and most dangerously ourselves. But Stoicism teaches something radical. Don't confuse motion with meaning. Don't confuse urgency with importance. And don't confuse noise with truth. That's the invitation of a Stoic life. Slow down so you can live fully. Let's explore how slowness can transform your mind, your decisions, and your very experience of reality. 1. Slow is smooth. Smooth is strong. There's a saying in military training. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. It sounds contradictory. But here's what it means. When you rush, you stumble. You make errors. You speak too soon. You overreact. But when you move with intention, even if it feels slow, your actions are clean, efficient, effective. The Stoics knew this. They practiced measured speech, thoughtful silence, deliberate reflection. So should you. Before you respond to that message, pause. Before you make that decision, breathe. Before you commit, ask, what am I being pulled by right now? Emotion or clarity? That pause is where power lies. 2. Fast minds are noisy. Slow minds are clear. When your thoughts are racing, it feels like you're rethinking. But what you're actually doing is reacting. You're not choosing your thoughts. You're being chased by them. But slowness gives you the space to separate signal from static. It allows you to notice patterns, to see your blind spots, to respond rather than flinch. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." But in truth, most people don't listen at all. They're just waiting for their turn to talk. Slowness invites listening not just to others, but to yourself. Try this. Once a day, sit for 5 minutes in total silence. No phone, no tasks, just noticing. It will feel uncomfortable at first, but slowly, your nervous system will downshift, and you'll start to hear what your mind has been trying to tell you beneath the noise. That's wisdom. Not found. Uncovered. 3. In a fast world, slowness is rebellion. Let's be honest. Our culture is addicted to speed because it numbs us. Busy people don't have to feel. They don't have to ask hard questions. They don't have to face the quiet truths about their life, their relationships, their choices. But slowness brings you face with reality. And reality, when seen clearly, is what sets you free. Marcus Aurelius used to rise early to reflect. Not scroll, not plan, just reflect. He knew if you don't examine your life slowly, you'll live it blindly. And blind living is how most people die while still breathing. So slow down not as a trend, as a return to clarity, to truth, to you. 4. Slowness builds patience and patience builds power. We want results now, healing now, mastery now. But Stoicism reminds us, anything worth building takes time. Time to fail, to learn, to recalibrate. And when you slow down, you're not delaying success. You're deepening the foundation it's built on. That's how you create something that lasts. So next time you feel impatient, remember, trees don't trust their roots. Mountains don't worry about how fast they're growing. And you don't need to force transformation. You just need to stay in alignment long enough for it to unfold. Try this mantra. I don't trust what's real. I don't hurry what's sacred. I move in time with what matters. 5. Slowness reveals the sacred in the ordinary. When you rush, you miss things. Not just opportunities, but miracles. The softness in someone's voice. The shape of the light on your desk. The quiet strength it takes to be kind to yourself when you feel behind. Slowness is how you begin to see again. To notice beauty in what you used to call boring. To feel awe in what you used to call routine. That's what a Stoic life invites you into. Not just peace, but presence. Not just clarity, but connection. Not just progress, but purpose. Let me close with this. Slowness is not about doing less. It's about doing what matters better. It's about living from the inside out. Moving with rhythm, not reaction. And creating space for your soul to speak, finally, without interruption. So tomorrow morning, instead of racing into your day, sit, breathe, speak this to yourself. I am not behind. I am not in a hurry. I am here, fully, and that is enough. Then move. Not quickly, but clearly. And let your slowness become your edge in a world that forgot how to be human. There's something we've forgotten in all the noise, all the striving, all the doing. Something simple, something ancient, something that the Stoics never stopped reminding themselves even when they had everything the world could offer. You are already home, not the house you live in, not the image you project, not the life you're trying to build. but this moment, this breath, this quiet, steady presence that has carried you through every storm you thought would break you. And didn't. Let's bring everything back to center. Because at the core of all Stoic practice, all discipline, all reflection, all strength, lies one final idea. You are not here to control the world. You are here to live well within it. That's it. Not to be perfect. Not to win. Not to outrun pain or outthink uncertainty. But to choose your posture over and over again regardless of what's happening around you. That's what peace actually is. It's not the absence of storms. It's the decision to be the stillness inside them. So let's return one final time to the 8 strategies we've walked through. Not as ideas to remember, but as practices to embody. Accept what is. Stop wasting energy fighting what's already true. Begin where you are. Release the past. Not because it didn't matter, but because you matter more than the version of you who lived it. Return to the present. Again and again. Because the now is where power lies. Pause with purpose. Because speed doesn't always equal strength. But stillness always reveals truth. Choose your thoughts. You are not a prisoner of your mind. You are its leader. Detach with grace. The tighter you cling, the more you suffer. Let go not to lose, but to live free. Practice gratitude. Not to deny pain, but to remind yourself that beauty always coexists with it. Reflect to evolve. Because self-minus awareness is how you stop repeating the life you no longer want. None of this is theoretical. None of it is abstract. It's real. Lived. Daily. Silently. It happens every time you choose not to argue with life, but to meet it, eyes open, heart steady, feet grounded in what you value, not what others expect. And if you do that, if you live that, something beautiful begins to happen. You stop being afraid. Not because life gets easier, but because you get deeper. You become rooted. Not in outcomes, not in applause, but in who you've decided to be. And from that place, you lead. Not by title, not by noise, but by example. You become a presence people feel. You walk into rooms and the energy shifts not because you demand attention, but because you carry something most have forgotten how to hold. Inner quiet, emotional sovereignty, self-minus command. This is the Stoic life. Not flashy, not loud, but free. Because when the world pushes, you don't panic. You choose. When emotions rise, you don't drown. You breathe. When the moment asks, you don't shrink. You show up. Not perfectly, but honestly. Every morning, every breath, every step. This is your path now. A path of strength and silence. Of discipline and softness. Of calm not as a mask, but as your default way of being. And you didn't need to become anyone else to find it. You just needed to return. So as you move forward from here, take this final reminder with you. You are not your thoughts. You are not your failures. You are not what the world says you must be. You are the space between. You are the one who watches, who chooses, who can begin again always. And that power? It's not something you earn. It's something you reclaim. Right now. So if this journey has touched something inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Not just the words, but the presence. Live it. Be the calm others didn't know they were looking for. Be the stillness that reminds people it's safe to slow down. Be the quiet strength that says, you don't need more. You just need to return to what's always been yours. Your peace. Your clarity. Your breath. Yourself. You are home. We are currently giving away a free e-book, 12 Stoic lessons that will change your life. To receive your gift, simply follow the channel and leave a comment that says, I have followed or I would like to receive the gift. We will reply with the download link directly below your comment.